Hello, I'm Amy from moonmindology.com. Today I want to look at Donald Trump's chart. There's a lot going on in the media about the fact that he will be arrested, and there's a lot of drama around that. So I just want to explore how much truth there is in that astrologically. So if we first look at Donald Trump's chart, we can see it's an extreme chart. He was born not only on a full moon, but it was an eclipse, and all of the planets are one side of his chart, which means that he has a Kala Sarpa Yoga. So he has an incredibly intense life. When it's good, it's really good. And when it's bad, it is incredibly bad. That's the roller coaster of the Kala Sarpa Yoga, the time serpent. So, another really interesting thing in his chart, which brings a lot of power, is he has a stationary retrograde Jupiter in the second house. The second house is about money. No wonder he's a billionaire, a millionaire. But that's really important. Because if we look at the Vimshottari Dasha, at the end of 2016, he went into the mahadasha of Jupiter. So this blew out proportion his money situation. It was also really good as Jupiter rules the fifth house of sport, entertainment, things like that. So he got lucky. This is great luck and gifts bestowed upon us. But it also rules the eighth house. So with some kind of eighth house meaning that was brought over to it, which is scandals, corruption, tax. And of course, Jupiter sits very close, is conjunct Neptune. So there can be a little bit of mystery, a little bit glamour, a little bit of you can't quite see properly. There's a fog in the way when it comes to Jupiter. So, Jupiter is very powerful. It's a very powerful planet for him. In 2019, in January, he changed his Antara Dasha to one of his worst planets, Saturn. And I think that really coincided with his downfall. Not only that, in the same year, his Yogini Dasha changed from the Mercury Mahadasha to the Saturn Mahadasha. Saturn, it rules the 6th house and it sits in the 12th house. So the 12th house is endings, it's expenditure, and it can be places of confinement, prisons, so on. 6th house could be lawsuits. That around the 2019 point, this was really the beginning of his fall. In that time, he lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. One thing that you can do is look at the Yogini Dasha. Donald Trump is currently in his second cycle of Ulka, the Ulka Yogini, which is ruled by Saturn. We progress the Lagna and it falls in Pusha, which is located in Cancer. And his current Antara Dasha for Yogini is Jupiter. Now he's gone into that recently. So if we're looking at Cancer progressed Lagna, the birth Lagna is in a 2-12 relationship. So there can be gains and losses during this time. That's important. There can be. But it could also be about income and money. Now Pusha is also ruled by Saturn. So there is a lot of Saturnian energy happening in here. So there's a lot of limitations. There's a lot of delays. There's a lot of obstacles. So those are all things that can really be playing into Donald Trump's situation at the moment. But it's also seclusion. And Saturn is one of his weakest planets, so there can be a little bit of a limitation. So 12th house is all about secrets as well. Also in that time, so with the progressed Lagna, as I said, being in Cancer, it's very much about him, his personality, his body. There could be health problems during this time. That is a possibility. There could be some health problems that he has to pay attention to. Not only that, we're also looking at the Antara Dasha. So where does that sit? That sits in the 3rd house. The 3rd house from the progressed Lagna. So that's about self-expression. That's about his hobbies. This is about his life force, his personality, how he expresses himself, but it's also courage and short distance travel. So during this time, he feels that he is displaying an element of courage here. He's fighting for something that he believes in, and there can be gains and losses. Also, if we look at the transits around about this time, so with the Vimshottari Dasha, as I said, he is in the Jupiter mahadasha, which was the 8th and the 5th, and is in the 2nd from the ascendant Lagna. The Antara Dasha is Mercury. Now that rules the 11th and the 2nd. Jupiter is in the 2nd. The 11th can have negative connotations, and the 2nd tends to be a neutral house. But this has got something to do with money, groups of people, associates, large sums of money. Can be a bit of luck here, but also something scandalous because of the 8th house. However, is he going to prison? As much as there is a lot of accentuation on Saturn in the Yogini, it sits in the 1st house. So that's saying a few lawsuits and some problematic contracts, perhaps. If we go back to the Vimshottari system, we've got Jupiter and Mercury, and they're currently sitting in Donald Trump's 8th house. So that's scandal, but Jupiter is aspecting the 12th house and the 4th house. So I really do think that if he is going to be restricted in any kind of way, he's going to be on some kind of house arrest. It's not going to be a full-blown prison situation. I just don't think it will be. Transiting Neptune is opposing his natal Neptune within about 11 degrees, so it isn't close, but that is going to create some kind of mist and fog, and especially with Mercury being in Pisces at the moment, where it is debilitated. So a debilitated Mercury can create miscommunications, especially with these planets there. It's great miscommunications, which could lead him to come a cropper, but I don't think they're permanent. However, gazing upon the rest of his dashas, I just don't think he's ever going to come back the way he did, or the way he came to power in 2016. I think he's had his heyday. He's not coming back. He's done what he was meant to do in this life, and I believe that he was a catalyst. Whether you think he was a good catalyst or a bad catalyst is down to personal opinion, but he will slip into the background now. that's what I'm seeing here. This, yeah, the reign of Donald Trump is well and truly over. I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this analysis on Donald Trump, and I thank you greatly for watching, and have a lovely day.